Good afternoon, guys. As you can see, as we have a slideshow of such a tremendous person that I am very inspired with. He is a pageant expert. He is an international blogger, journalist, and I was lucky enough to meet him through the journey and events of the pageantry. He's somebody that I look up to as far as um, seeing beautiful people in his eyes and sharing their stories. Of course, with my background in the pageant industry, there's always lovely people, just like Tito Norman Tinio, who shares our stories that nobody else knows and make us more empowering. So without further ado, in Love with Me series, today we have the special guest of Mr. Norman Tinio. Hello, Tito Norman, also known as Tito Norman to a lot of us. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Good afternoon, Mafae. So nice to see you. And
Of course, I miss you so
it's such
much.
a hot, it's such a hot afternoon, but I think we'll be able to get through it gloriously.
Of course. I mean,
Okay.
the main reason why I wanted you to be part of this series is, of course, to inspire others through your journey, through your career, through what inspires you daily, and most especially now. I know as a journalist, it is tough to get the right stories, to get the real news, to be able to tap in, exclusive interviews. So, of course, it's close to my heart, the pageant industry, and I want to firstly ask you, why did it become your passion? And did you always want to be a journalist?
Mafe, when I was barely 10 years old and we won the first Miss Universe for the country, it got me interested in
Uh-huh.
pageantry. Then just a few years later, we won another Miss Universe crown.
Right.
And that was more than enough to fuel the passion
Mhm.
for pageantry. But do keep in mind, I am not a born journalist. My profession is actually a psychologist. I'm more of a
Wow.
clinical and industrial psychologist. It just so happens that my parents started me with the love for reading at a very early age.
Uh-huh.
So that really started me off in writing,
Mhm.
keeping diary, journals, wala pang online journals then. And it snowballed into something that would make me write on and off in between my work. And when
Mhm.
I retired full time from corporate work last 2015, I decided it's high time to focus full time
Mhm.
on pageantry.
Right. Well, that's you learn something new from people, and I wouldn't not know that you had that major, and it's so perfect in line with what we're trying to achieve right now is to promote mental health,
Mhm.
most especially at this time.
That's true.
I guess I can align it with the pageantry. I know a lot of girls have difficulties or they face challenges on this modern age on the impact of social media. You're an open book.
Mhm.
You just have to have a strong core to be part of it, right? So
That's true. Mhm.
how do when you write these stories, I know you're more active right now. I mean, you've always been active, but I do see an article come out every day now instead of 3 times a week or 4 times a week. I guess you have more time to do flashbacks, and I've been loving how you're bringing back the empowered women back years back who paved the way for us, to
Including you. Including you.
oh, I'm part of history. History.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that, I guess that's something that you're busy with during this quarantine. What else? Is there anything new that has been inspiring you during this time?
Actually, this quarantine has been more challenging, so to
Uh-huh.
speak. Because even before the ECQ, the quarantine, the COVID-19, I already felt empowered
Right.
in my work, especially online.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happens that during quarantine, the challenges are far more extreme
Mm-hmm.
Example, I was asked just a few weeks back, how do you become a good blogger? So I
Right.
always say it's three P's: commitment, content, and creativity. Now,
Mm-hmm.
during ECQ, the content part is the challenging one because you need to come up with daily blog articles, daily
Mm-hmm.
posts. And I think it was a sign for me to do all these throwback blogs
Yeah.
every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I do it by decade. I started with the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, where you to the new millennium where you belong, and the recent decade and everything. So it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
By around 10 p.m. every night, I would be so stressed out thinking of
Mm-hmm.
what subject will be uploaded the following morning.
Right.
But somehow I just browse at photographs,
Mm-hmm.
and then I end up coming up with a new article.
Right.
Like um, this morning, I couldn't think of who to blog about. So I thought, let me look at Hollywood.
Right.
So I just remembered Halle Berry, the actress, used to be a beauty queen, and she
Yes.
represented the USA in
Uh-huh.
Miss World. So I
Yes, she
blogged
did.
about her. So it's just a matter of trying to look for what content
Mm-hmm.
you can upload every single day.
Mm-hmm.
When there are no events happening around us, you look inside you and find other subjects that would please the readers. I think they're more pleased now because the engagements are far more profound among my readers. I'll let you in on something, Mafae.
Mm.
Actually, a lot of people are saying in my blog, my readers now are really more of the alta, high end kind
Mm-hmm.
of readers and speakers and everything. And some of my other loyal readers would have difficulty putting in their replies because if you put them side by side with the answers of the other more intelligent readers, they would think, oh my God, they're using big words. I cannot use big words. I can only say something like, I love you, I'm cheering for you and everything. Now here comes another reader who would put in a long paragraph of reply that would really meticulously explain
Mm.
the process of a particular subject matter, and then it goes on and on and on. But I'm very happy because I try to stay in the middle. I try
Yeah.
to be as masa. I
Mm-hmm.
try to adjust my taste to my readers who are, well, not really alta, but I think they're the ones who are more articulate.
Yeah.
I
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's what I appreciate about you is because not only are you reaching a bigger target market now, apart from the pageant, scene, you are bringing, I guess, fast track research to history to like you just said, not a lot of people know about Holly Berry as a beauty queen, and I love that you're very informative. Sometimes it's like you feel like when I read your blogs that you're right there with you. uh, I'm talking about the events that you've written about before, but yeah, amazing that you're tapping to another network, because right now is really the key for bloggers, and for you to be one of the
Yes.
experts or have been doing this for quite some time. You actually have an expertise to teach, the ones that are trying to start a blog. So going back, how did you
Actually,
start,
yeah.
like
Sige.
when?
Um,
Yeah.
when I was still deep inside my corporate work in Makati, I had difficulty keeping up a diary. I
Yeah.
would start one every first month of the year, but after 3 weeks, I would lose my appetite for writing down whatever I want to write down in my diary. So, and then back in 2009, blogs are starting to really become popular. So
Uh-huh.
I decided, okay, let me start one. Let me start with a free blog. So I didn't focus on pageants entirely. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I did some movies, I reviewed some hotels, and I did even about the subject of dogs. But
Yeah.
somehow, the minute you start building up your readership, then
Yeah.
you start focusing on the thing that you love to write most,
Mm-hmm.
and that is pageantry. Um, some people would ask, how do you find the energy or the interest to actually write every single day?
Yeah.
And I would say, when you're passionate about something, you only need the smallest stimulus or stimuli, if you will,
Yeah.
to actually build at least a 200-word article about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you give me a very good photograph of a beauty queen or an upcoming beauty queen or someone who has been untapped, I can build so much words and
Mm-hmm.
statements about that person. And it's not it's not even about researching about that girl so much.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, what is your style of writing? I always tell them, my writing is always a screenshot of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is that I'm thinking of at the moment, that is what I write about
Mm-hmm.
um, in terms of an article. So it's like I write while I'm talking. Does it make sense? Para whatever my mind tells me, then I write it down. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't plan too much ahead of an article. I just need a
Right.
very good stimulus. Sometimes a word, sometimes a phrase, sometimes a statement, and then there you go. The article becomes a long one, and I'm so surprised. I even got storytelling in the past week. I didn't imagine myself writing a story. I used to read Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, but
Yeah.
now it's a medieval story that has something to do with pageantry, and then my readers would say, "Oh, you're being controversial now because it's such a controversial story if you try to
Right.
really analyze it." But those are things that you try to embrace on
Mm-hmm.
every single day when you're on quarantine. You run out of throwback blogs. You know,
Right.
I used to write about solely Miss Philippines
Mm-hmm.
and then Miss Universe and then the other international pageants. Now I even write about Miss USA, the national pageants of other countries, which have something that would interest readers. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's not easy, especially if you don't have much experience with pageantry before.
Right.
Um, the good thing is that there is always something that I go back to in terms of a memory or in terms of a detail. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll give an example. Um, if someone asks me what is the most disastrous Miss Universe event ever held, when I say disastrous,
Yeah.
I mean in terms of the setup, the stage. Then you would go to
Mm.
1979 when the stage of Miss Universe fell because the piece of Skylab metal equipment in the middle of the stage collapsed,
Oh my
and
gosh.
one third of the girls fell on the part beyond for the stage. So that's
Wow.
disastrous. So
Uh-huh.
ganun mga stories ba? Yeah.
Yeah, this is
But
super
I
interesting.
try to, yeah, I avoid negative
Mm-hmm.
stories as much as possible. So
Mm-hmm.
let's embrace positivity because there are so many other people who have already focused on the controversial
Right.
parts. So let me focus on the positive ones that will make beauty queens happy,
Mm-hmm.
that will make like a Binibining Filipinas World 2003 happy, for example. Something to that effect. Because I think that's what the girls love about me because
Mm-hmm.
I try to focus on what's good about them and not on what will make them controversial.
And that's what they
Yun.
need, you know. The ladies that join pageants, especially right now, is super cutthroat. So they need all the support or all the inspiring, feedback. They're getting too much already on social media, and it's. I mean, I guess we had this conversation before. Like I said, Tito Norman, let's get on a show. Let's talk about this. Let's create a positivity to everyone and let them know that behind the scenes, they're also human. You know, we're human.
True.
When we get on the stage, we're representing you. I mean, as Filipinos, we're
Hmm.
representing our countrymen, and it's not easy to do that. I mean, even you
That's
say it's
true.
a local pageant, these girls are doing it for their families. Sometimes they're breadwinners, right? So
Hmm.
it's just that I guess the focus on the pageantry sometimes is a negative perception, but at the end of the day, I mean, you've learned so much from or the organizations and all the girls that have joined. I mean, for me, I firsthand felt how hard it was, and I'm sure
Hmm.
nowadays it's a lot harder because the girls,
True.
I spoke to Karen and Lara just the other day, and we talked about how now the girls are in the gym having six packs, when during our time it was more like the more natural you look, it's like, okay, voluptuous, you don't really need
True.
to have a six pack and things like that. But now it's like supermodel Victoria's Secret type with the brain of a really smart, intelligent woman. It's like, my
With the brain
gosh,
of Hillary Clinton, for
right? Like,
example.
it's like you have to be fast, you have to be witty, you have to understand the current situation, So, in line with that, what is your favorite? I guess this is probably a hard question, but what is your favorite pageant to write about? Not people,
There,
pageant.
without a doubt, it's always nice to write about Miss Universe because there are
Mm.
just so many things that
Mm-hmm.
you can write about it. Even the sidelights, even the small details, you can write
Mm-hmm.
about Miss Universe. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't write about Miss World. Miss World is
Right.
more on the brains, more on the substance, more on the
Mm.
causes, the advocacies. They have evolved, and some people will say that Miss World has become boring, but I don't look at it as boring. I look at it
Right.
as the evolution of a beauty pageant. Miss
Mm-hmm.
International, they haven't really changed. Now,
Right.
of course, it being held in Japan every year, there's
Mm-hmm.
always the limitation of not getting all the details we want because, like, even if I try to mix it up with the Japanese media, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't know how to interpret or understand Nihongo. So I couldn't get all the small details.
Mm-hmm.
But I still write about them because we are represented in that pageant.
International.
Miss
Right.
Earth, of course, Miss Earth is homegrown, so there's no problem at all. I'm
Mm-hmm.
in touch with the big wigs of Carousel, so I'm always in touch with them. But
Mm-hmm.
Miss Universe, without a doubt, is the easiest to write about because it's so full of the whimsical parts of pageantry that people would really like to read about
Mm-hmm.
every single day. Kahit
I guess it
paulit-ulit pa yan.
I guess it same goes. I mean, the way that you described all the pageants, it's got to do with the culture too. I guess the
Mhm.
organizations. I mean,
True.
Miss Universe is always, American background. It's Hollywood in a way, Victoria's Secret in a way. Whereas, of course, Miss World, I experienced that. It's very conservative. There was a time, my time, we didn't even have a national costume.
Hmm.
They were just really about the personality and the way you carried yourself. And
Yeah.
I think Miss International is the same way because as a Japanese culture, they're very conservative. It's
Hmm.
more of a simple show. There's no like extravagant thing going on.
Yes.
So I think that's the difference of the pageants. But of
But
course, they
Mafae,
all.
do
Mm,
you remember your time in Miss World? You didn't have a national costume,
yeah.
but today it was replaced by the dances of the world, wherein
Mm,
each candidate would dance a 15 seconder of whatever is the most popular dance in their country.
yeah.
Wala kayong ganon.
Wala.
But you had a swimsuit portion then,
Yeah.
and they don't have that swimsuit portion now.
Oh, but the thing was back then we did not have the swimsuit on stage.
True.
So the national, the pageant night was only the Chinese outfit, which was the opening, and then the gown.
Mm-hmm. And the gown,
So,
the
uh,
popular gown, the red gown that
yes.
everyone was talking about with the killer heels.
Yeah, what's
Yeah.
funny about that? I was just asked by a fan club. I think it's Q Crown. I'm sorry,
Hmm.
but they asked me that who was the designer because they didn't know. They thought it was a Filipino designer. So I told them that it was it was Baraza. He brought it down to the Philippines. Actually tried several, and that was the one that was more simple and more me. And I like the fact that it was different. From the gowns before me, it wasn't the same. And I guess it was. He had an idea from another international designer and just turned it red. So he
Mm,
saw a similar one on the runway, in international runway. So I'm actually thankful that, my gown was something that I would wear today. you know?
mhm. With the heels, huh?
Yeah.
With the
Well, actually, the heels, if from on the stage, you wouldn't know it was a ribbon. So it was a slip-on heel, and then it was a ribbon tied around my leg, and I had to tie it so tight so that it wouldn't fall, to the point that my muscles were actually like shouting at me, like to that
oh,
point. No one knew that. All I had to do was smile. But wow, Tito Norman, if you only knew what I did with that ribbon. I tied it so tight that my veins were already like shouting,
they
like
were
they
so
couldn't
mad
breathe.
at you.
Yeah, they couldn't breathe, let's put it that way.
Yeah,
But those are the sacrifices that a lot of the candidates make just to make sure that they bring home a crown or make their families or their country proud, right? I'm sure
that's
a lot
true.
of
Yeah.
stories just like what I've expressed here. So what's the favorite story that you've heard of a candidate or a title holder?
Um, Someone who did not necessarily win abroad, but gave us the good placement.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many stories. Like um, in Miss Universe 1980, Chatsilayan, the late Chatsilayan missed her flight going to Korea, but still was able to make it to the pre-pageant competitions, and then she placed third runner-up, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Now, um, in 1987, during the Miss Universe in Singapore, and connected with 1988, people were always telling me, we should have switched places there. The one who was sent to the 1987 should have been sent to Taiwan because she looked more Oriental. It was Pebbles Athis.
Mm-hmm.
Because 1988 was the year when the top five in Miss Universe were four Asians and one Latina. So you
Mm-hmm.
can imagine the domination of that was the one and only year when the Asians dominated Miss Universe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at Miss World, for example, the the year that Megan Young won, 2013, my God, the stories then were so controversial. Like
Mm-hmm.
prior to the finals night, our representative was being rained on by so many intrigues from all detractors. But when you are really destined to win a crown or to win
Uh-huh.
the Miss World crown, then you will. And then she did. And I think Julia Morley really liked Megan. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she is inarguably the best Miss World ever
Mm-hmm.
because she's still being utilized by the organization up to
Yeah.
now.
Oh,
Yeah.
Megan's great. That's one girl that I
Yes.
really am happy with because I guess in a way her integrity. She's the same. She's the same with everyone, and I love that. I love that trait. That's something that I always tell my students. People will see right through you. You have to just be yourself. You don't
True.
have to express yourself in the way that, oh yeah, I'm a super genius. I'm gonna say all these big words, but then you don't really know what it means, and then you mess it
Mm-hmm.
up. And then there goes your chance, or um, your chance to really have people get to know you in a genuine way, right? So I just want to go back. During this time, this challenging time, I know that you mentioned earlier controversial writing. When you face those kind of challenges, how did you
Mm-hmm.
overcome them? I mean, similar to what we're going through right now. Were there low points of you feeling like, oh, did I write that in a good way, or should I take it down, or should I stop writing? How did you come over that feeling?
Okay. First off, I never reached that point when I had to
Mm-hmm.
say, no, I won't write anymore because the
Mm-hmm.
writing comes naturally. Now,
Right.
there were, I can count it with my one hand, the fingers in my one hand. There were some instances wherein I really bit my tongue. Like,
Uh-huh.
why did I even upload that story? Because the repercussions were not very positive. But
Mm-hmm.
um, looking back now, I think there's always a reason for controversial posts or stories to be posted because there's always an element of truth in them.
Right.
Um, when something negative is told about a particular person and everyone else is already writing about it, I try not to join in the bandwagon of of pitching in my
Mm-hmm.
story about this person. I try to wait for more details. I wait for something more factual because Mafe, before most of these beauty queens become beauty queens, they've already become my friends.
Yeah.
And when you become friends with these ladies, I always tell this even to the young ones that I try to coach in local and provincial pageants. I am very protective,
Yeah.
especially of the ladies. I'm very protective. I remember this is just one story. I won't tell you who the beauty queen is anymore.
Okay.
We were judging in this pageant in the Visayas,
Mm-hmm.
and usually after a provincial pageant is over, the organizers would bring you to a very late night dinner
All right.
because the pageants there are so long that you get really hungry
Mm-hmm.
afterwards. So we went to this resort where the dinner was served, and then um, the beauty queen with us, she instinctively sat on a table that was empty because she didn't want to be with a big crowd.
Okay.
So after 15 minutes, we noticed that some men are already trying to approach her because
Mm-hmm.
seeing that she was sitting alone, okay, and this girl was only 18 or 19 at the time.
Uh-huh.
So I pulled in one of the organizers who happens to be a friend of mine, and he said, let's sit with her because I can already see some DOMs trying
Right.
to break the barrier somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So in short, we sat beside the girl and we pulled her out of the table. Don't sit there, sit with us.
Mm-hmm.
So that anything unfavorable is avoided. So I try to really protect the girls. There's just even
Yeah.
one other instance wherein the press presentation of a national pageant, I won't tell you what pageant anymore.
Uh-huh.
Um, the girls were asked to parade, of course, in their two-piece swimwear.
Mm-hmm.
It so happened at the time that the swimwear used was from a relatively new designer. And the fitting was done only on that very hour that the
Oh
press presentation was
no.
being held. So I really felt sorry for some of the girls without caps that
Mm-hmm.
the fitting of their swimwear was really bad. When I say bad, Mafae, I'm not saying bad in the sense that it was too tight. It was really very
Small.
revealing. It's
Okay.
very revealing.
Right.
And every time one girl would step out and I feel that something should be hidden,
Uh-huh.
I would instinctively ask someone, is there a towel there? I want to wrap a towel around this girl because
Yeah.
the photographers are really having a feast day,
Uh-huh.
taking her photos and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that is me. I'm very protective. Actually, even in male pageants, I'm very protective also.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why um, the difference between female pageants and male pageants, for me, female pageants, they call me Tito Norman.
Yeah.
In male pageants, you know what they call me?
Tita.
Tatay Norman.
I thought.
They call me Tatay. You know why? There's a very good reason for that.
Uh-huh.
Because the minute you establish a relationship with a candidate, the male candidate, in a very parental way, and they call you tatay in the process, then the lines of authority are set very clearly so that
Mm.
nothing will really happen. No hanky panky. There's a reason
Mm.
also why I haven't been um, bashed about like, oh, you're part of the organizers of this pageant. You must have done something
Mm-hmm.
on the side. And no, you can check all the backgrounds. I haven't done anything. My record is very clean. So that's the protective side of me, Mafe.
Right. I appreciate that because that's my same sentiment in regards to pageants. You know, now being so much older, I understand what the pageants are all about. Of course, for me, it's all about giving back. But at the same
Mhm.
time, you know, I think I was put also in a platform to protect future candidates, future aspiring models, you know, and whatever in that kind of scene, because it's not always great. You have to be ready, or you
True.
have to be, or you have to identify when it is you know, not safe for you, right?
That's true.
So I have a few questions online for you, I guess in the line of that. In your opinion, what qualities make a strong candidate stand out? Oh yeah.
I have one answer for that.
Mm.
A good candidate who really knows why she joined the pageant and why she wants to excel in that pageant is the person who can explain everything very clearly from start to
Mm.
finish. The makeup, the heels, the gown, the swimwear, you can prepare for that every single
Yes.
day. You can do your pasarela. But deep inside, if you know why you wanted to join the pageant
Mm.
and why you want to win the pageant, that adds up to someone who can potentially win the competition because whatever question is asked of her, she can answer it with her eyes closed. So
Yeah.
that's one important quality I think that is um, expected from
Yes.
someone who wants to join a pageant.
You have to have the beauty inside first, right? And then it'll glow
Exactly.
out.
Yeah.
Okay, so another question. What is your definition of an empowered Filipina or Filipino?
An empowered Filipina or Filipino is someone who first has responsibility and two has commitment. When you have
Mm-hmm.
responsibility, you know what the difference between right and wrong. So you
Uh-huh.
can always veer towards the right and avoid the wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
when you are committed, then you know that whatever cause or whatever plans or whatever charity work that you would go into, you will put your 100% into it, very hands on. And when you do that, you become empowered because you become more authoritative about what you want to work on, what causes you want to believe in, or what you want to push for. So in that sense, it makes them more empowered. Now,
Mm-hmm.
for Filipinos, Mafe, I think it's very clear in the Philippines, even if we're so advanced in pageantry, male pageants are still not in the full mainstream of things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important for Filipinos who want to do pageants to go beyond their looks, to
Right.
go beyond what they're slaving in the gym for,
Mm-hmm.
to do their homework and to study beyond memorizing what advocacy you want to work on, and make it tailor fit for you. Yun ang importante kasi doon, Mafe, is you have to think yourself as like a tailor.
Yeah.
It has to be very a snug fit. It has to fit you right where it
Mm-hmm.
matters most. So you cannot like advocate for mental health when it was just dictated to you by your
Right.
handler. There has to be a connection
Mm-hmm.
somewhere. So
Mm-hmm.
like if you're doing social work and then you join pageants, then good for you because
Yeah.
social work is a very good background in
Mm-hmm.
pageantry. So that's what makes people empowered.
Yeah, I agree with that because that's the main thing I always say, that you know, joining a pageant, if you're in it for the fame and fortune, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. You know, you have to be there, inspiring, empowering, and yeah, if you were just introduced to a charity, I mean, there's so many girls and men are being creative now. You know, I'm just, maybe I'm being biased or whatever, but my cousin Andrea, Aya Abisamis, she
Mm-hmm.
joined the first time, and she was being honest with me that she was not really confident with what her advocacy was the first time. And then the second time, she's an artist. She was able to create an advocacy that was her passion, and it was through art, introducing it to abandoned children, or children who were abused, and help
Mm-hmm.
them let out that stress through art. And that's really her. So for people to really create an advocacy, or um, study one, it has to be in par with your life. And that's what the pageant is all about, really. I mean, all the pageants I joined, it's a charity, it's a cause. So it's not just the
True.
beauty. Anybody can be beautiful, but if you don't have substance in what you're saying, then wala na, like, diba?
I agree 100%.
Okay, going back to your writing, I have a question here. How do you overcome writer's block? This is a good one. How do you overcome it?
Um, you know, I've reached that point in my blogging life when every 10 p.m. at night,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a breaking point already. I
Mm-hmm.
have to have something by 10 p.m. no matter what.
Oh,
So
okay.
3 hours earlier than that,
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to come up with an inspiration.
Right.
It should be a picture. Sometimes, if I'm really lost for inspiration, I go to YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, at least the YouTube on my phone, they have already appreciated my interests, so they feed me with everything that I want to watch. So
Yep.
I end up with some unknown pageant detail that I want to write about, and that helps me get over that the writer's block that you mentioned. And besides, um, when you're my age, Mafae, um, you try to mellow down when it comes to things that you want to do in the nightlife,
Right.
gimmick, and everything. This quarantine, it
Mm-hmm.
didn't really make me anxious at all because I'm a homebody. So I
Mm-hmm.
really love staying at home. I
Right.
love working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always nice to have so much me time these days. Talagang sobrang daming me time
Uh-uh.
nowadays. Um, in fact, I've lost track of the days. I'm not even sure what day we are talking about right now anymore. Yeah.
May na,
Oh,
it's May.
oh, oh. Yeah.
Well,
So
that's good
that's
to
how.
know.
Yeah.
This is inspiring to know, especially right now. Everybody's at home. I guess when it comes to writing, just do what motivates you, do what inspires you. I like the fact that Tito Norman shared his. I guess that's your daily habit is by 10 p.m. If you don't have an article, then maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe there's
Mhm.
another topic or another person that he should be writing for or about.
Mafe, I don't even have a topic for tomorrow yet. And I don't know what I'm going to write about, but this is what I'm going to write about tomorrow.
Yeah, why
So
not?
I'll be
Tell
getting
them
the
that we're
video.
going to launch our show, and this is the preview.
A prelude. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, another one. For you, who is the most iconic beauty queen? You can name more than one. Don't worry, I won't be jealous.
Oh my God. Do you want me to do it by pageant or do you want me to generalize it?
Up to you. Don't give too much information because I will talk about it. Right?
I
More.
think the most let me do just two classifications. The most
Okay.
iconic classic beauty queen and the most iconic modern beauty queen.
Okay. Okay. Go.
Like we have two sets of Miss Universe winners,
Uh
two
huh.
classic and two modern.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people who know me, they know that I adore Pia Wurtzbach
Yes.
because she has continuously sustained
Mm-hmm.
not just her popularity but her causes, but the activities that she does and the charity work. And
Right.
it's iconic because she really reaches out to the youth in terms
Mm-hmm.
of that. and that's a very good thing. Now, the classic one, Gloria Diaz, is always a class of her own because I'll tell you a story, small story now.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, who's an audiologist, she has her clinic at the back of Makati Med.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are times when we visit her in her clinic, and then you ride the elevator, and who would you be riding the elevator with? Miss Universe 1969, Gloria Diaz. And she's so down to earth. She doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mind if you're ahead of her, that you took the elevator ahead of her. And if there's someone older than her in the elevator, she would even guide her to like the clinic of doctor this and that is there, and do you want help? Do you want me to accompany you and the like? So I think those are signs that make someone very iconic
Uh-huh.
because she hasn't become reclusive, she's not elusive, she's very relatable, and people love her up to this day. And the thing,
Mm-hmm.
1969 pa yon. I
Uh-uh.
was, my God, I wasn't even yet circumcised at that time. My God.
But yeah,
Yeah.
the two women that you mentioned, they're beautiful inside and out. You know, they're humble. You know, they're like I think I was saying before that integrity is very key, and I find both of them just the same. Whoever is in front of them. You know, I'm always around. Miss Gloria. I always see her around. Pia. I always see her around, and every time I am in front of them, they're the same, and their aura is just so amazing, and it's just uh, like a positive feeling. And I love the fact that they're still relevant today. No
That's the
matter.
reason why I decided to put a classic and a modern because
Well,
they
I like
represent
that.
two.
That's
Yeah.
that's that's a good way of putting it. So, guys, if you want to know more about the pageantry, history, current, the Norman and I will be launching our mini show. I guess we can do it now since we have time, and we can have segments on. Different pageants, different topics. Let us know. Let us know what you want to hear. Of course, it's all positive. It's all about inspiring, and maybe we can have all beauty queens guests, or even organizers, or people behind the scenes that you would not know the stories about. That's something that I love about Tito Norman. When I am with him, all we do is tell stories, and who we think is going to be a really good queen, or a really good empowered person. So you will hear a lot about that, right, Tito
You know,
Norman?
Mafae, between the two of us, 1 hour is not enough.
I
And if
know,
we
that's what
have
I'm
a
saying.
we
That's why
and
I don't
if
want to
we
give
have
out
a
too
guest,
much.
if we have a guest, you add 30 more minutes for the guest.
Oh, it doesn't matter. We have a lot of time to organize that.
That's very
So
nice.
thank you, Tito Norman, for being part of this campaign. You
Yes.
have inspired a lot of people in the pageant industry, people who are wanting to be, a writer, how to write. There, Tito Norman will also teach that through our episodes. But like Tito Norman said, we need more than an hour. But I don't want to give away too much so that you guys can come back and watch more of the shows. I
True.
will put Tito Norman's blog link, also his social media. So if you have any more questions, any more, I guess, advice that you want to ask from him, you can reach out to him. I mean, this is the time that we all have time to inspire each other, right? We're all in this together. So again, Tito Norman, thank you so much. Thank you for
You're
being
welcome,
with
Mafae.
me. I'll see you again soon,
Yes.
okay? Let's talk
Yeah,
again
let's have
soon.
coffee soon.
Yes, over Zoom.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay. Thank
guys.
you so
See
much,
you.
Mafae.
Thank you.